morning, everybody. It is 8 a.m. here in New York City, 6 a.m. in Denver, where Frederick is, 5 a.m. in San Diego. I'm Julie Roginski with Michelle Kinney and Frederick Pogue, and welcome to the Mayday morning show. Okay, I don't know where to even begin with this, but Donald Trump is demanding that the Justice Department pay him $230 million. You heard that right. Over $250 million in compensation for the federal investigations into him over the course of his first administration and the Biden administration. You remember those investigations, the one into his campaign's connection to Russia's election interference in 2016, which he calls a hoax, and which I've written probably about 50,000 words on, describing it as anything but a hoax, into his mishandling of classified information, where he, remember, put a lot of classified info into some random bathroom at Mar-a-Lago.
Reading material.
Yeah, remember that? Now, Trump told reporters yesterday about essentially paying himself, and this is what he said. I'm the one that makes a decision, and that decision would have to go across my desk, and it's awfully strange to make a decision where I'm paying myself.
Yeah, I have this clip. Let me play it really quick.
Play it.
Wrong, and when somebody does what's wrong. Now, with the country, it's interesting because I'm the one that makes a decision, right? And, that decision would have to go across my desk. And it's awfully strange to make a decision where I'm paying myself. In other words, did you ever have one of those cases where you have to decide how much you're paying yourself in damages?
No, because I'm not corrupt.
Greatly, and any money that I would get, I would give to charity.
Charity.
Charity, yeah. Remember
Charity.
how his family, his adult children are banned from
right,
charity in New York because he defrauded people in that charity, but let's just move on from that.
Stole money from kids with cancer.
Wait. Here's the best part. The person at the DOJ who has to sign off on this settlement actually is not Donald Trump, because officially the DOJ is separate from the White House. The person at the DOJ who would sign off on the settlement is a man named Todd Blanche, who you might remember is now the Attorney General of the United States, but prior to this, Trump's lawyer in some of his criminal matters. Now, you guys, meanwhile, as all of this is happening, federal workers are literally lining up outside food banks. There was a horrible shot of a food bank in Maryland where you had federal workers around the corner. These people aren't getting a salary, so they're literally lining up to eat. And people's healthcare premiums are about to double or triple.
Yep.
And are we in the end stages here of living on Earth 1? I don't understand what is going on. This is corruption at its highest. I want to just be very clear about something before we have this conversation. The Russia hoax is not a hoax. I mean, if you follow me at all, you know how much I spend talking about the Russia hoax. We actually have a show on Tuesdays with Local Latman over on Substack discussing how it's anything but a hoax. You could read it all on my Substack on Active Measures. But for him to actually be reimbursed for this,
it's crazy.
It's great. Like, at least Vladimir Putin does the corruption surreptitiously. And I think part of the problem here with the press is that they don't pay attention to this because it's out in the open. So they think there's nothing to investigate.
Well, that's
he just
right.
does it.
That's his superpower, right? Yeah.
I don't know. Frederick, thoughts, comments? Complaints.
I mean, I think you're giving legacy media too much credit. I think they're cowed, and their corporate masters and overlords benefit from this in some small way, or they're hoping to, and so they don't report on it, because what we've seen is, and we've seen this before in American history, and I'll get to that in a second. But you look at Kristi Noem, the Department of Homeland Security, spending, I think it's close to $150 million on 2 private Gulfstream jets and overpaying for that. Even the Argentina bailout is really just a play to get the Argentinian peso up, so Scott Bessent's billionaire buddies like Rob Centrone can get their money out of the bond market in Argentina before the bottom completely collapses. And I was thinking about this morning. I mean, we've seen this before in American history. But it used to actually be a crime at certain points, and we've gone through periods of reform. Like you might remember from grade school, the Teapot Dome scandal.
Or,
names like that, right?
By the way,
it was just open season in government.
grade school? Grade school? You think you learned about the Teapot Dome in grade school?
Well, I did because
what kind of grade school did you? Well, I don't know what kind of grade school you went to in East Tennessee. That's pretty advanced. But anyway, go on. Keep going.
Well, I also went to grade school in Hawaii. So I did learn native Hawaiian in 4th grade.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, go on.
But yeah, no, the thing now is it's again because Trump is so brazen with this corruption, and they're treating our tax dollars like it's his own private company slush fund that he can just like, oh, we have the money, so we'll pay this. And, obviously I need to reimburse myself. So let me just go ahead and sign the check and reimburse myself. But I mean, I would say like, okay, like red states and Trump voters, this is what you voted for. People in Mississippi and Arkansas and Texas who still not received FEMA assistance. Are you good with the government spending $142 million on, of your tax money for Kristi Noem and her camera crew and her reality TV show and whatever else she's doing to promote her personal brand? Are you like federal workers and you mentioned federal workers lining up at food banks? Well, red states, you're going to be lining up to them soon because they're cutting SNAP benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Those are set to run out. And guess what, powers those food banks? USAID, which they also cut. So are you good with that when they go hungry? So they're basically money that is our money. They are taking it for themselves. I don't know like any other way but to call that robbery and stealing, essentially.
Not to mention this 230 million aligns very closely with what this White House ballroom is supposed to be costing, which he said he's going to pay for himself. We all know he's not paying for this himself.
Of course not. Not.
And we all know he's not taking this money, which is taxpayer money, and putting it towards the White House ballroom because he's taking that money for himself. Yeah. This is a grift, and I will say again, I say this every day, but I will say it again. And Michelle, I'm going to quote you here. The Supreme Court had a failure of imagination.
Yep. And they thought that they would be immune to like whatever it is that he's doing. It's like, well, we'll allow him this, but it's not like he's going to go, and get caught up in this web.
And I got to be honest, John Roberts, you own this because this guy is literally stealing from the taxpayers, but he's president of the United States. So you said it's okay.
Yep. I want to play this clip really quick. I'll tell you who this is. This is Tom Emmer. And just a reminder that the Trump administration cut millions in SNAP benefits and food assistance.
Assistance like SNAP and WIC are being jeopardized, all so these Democrats can appease their radical pro-terrorist wing. That is what they are. You saw it. And anybody who wants to push back, then they should disavow any connection to people who are calling for the death of any elected official, let alone the President of the United States, which they seem to be fine with.
First of all, F you, because let's talk about, I'm not going to get into this. This is a whole side discussion about the pardoned January 6th insurrectionists who threatened the life of minority Hakeem Jeffries. I don't know where to begin. First of all, the hyperbole, over the top drama of these people in their not only just blaming Democrats for everything, but like the pro-terrorist like stuff. Like it's just so crazy and it's so dangerous.
I know where to begin.
Well, yeah, and so there's that, and then then there's the $230 million thing. So while we're cutting all of this, and now we, the taxpayers of the United States, are going to pay for Donald Trump to be richer, and he's asked about this and then tries to play stupid.
Yeah, that's very good.
Follow up on her question.
What is that on his desk?
That your legal team is seeking $230 million from your own Justice Department now in response to the investigations into you. Is that something you want your legal team to do?
I don't know what the numbers are. I don't even talk to them about it. All I know is that They would owe me a lot of money, but I'm not looking for money. I'd give it to charity or something. I would give it to charity.
Whatever.
Any money. But look, what they did, they rigged the election. And as you know, we had, in one case, 60 Minutes had to pay us a lot of money. George Slobodanopoulos had to pay us a lot of money, and they already paid. They paid me a lot of money because what they did was wrong. And when somebody does what's wrong, now with the country, it's interesting because I'm the one that makes the decision, right? And
yeah, so it's just another. Here's again where we have decades of examples of the kind of person that Donald Trump is, the kind of businessman he is, the amount of times he was bankrupt, the amount of times that he would hire small businesses in New York and New Jersey to work on his casinos and then never pay them. And so then they would come for their payment. And so they would sue him. And so he would countersue them for more money. And so he would, and at the end of the day, put all of these working people underground and bankrupt them. And that is the kind of person he is. That's the kind of person he always has been. And I am very sorry to all of us who didn't vote for him, and even more sorry for the people who did, who chose for the last decade to not pay attention and not listen to this. And the same case as John Roberts, think that somehow this wasn't going to come back in their faces. It's really remarkable.
They didn't care. And I mean, so let's back up a bit with the Supreme Court. I think, Julie, you're giving them way too much credit. I think they knew exactly what they were getting into. We're talking about a Supreme Court I want to make sure the conservative justices, the egregious ones like Alito and Thomas and John Roberts, who've all taken gifts, and John Roberts, his wife, her law firm has benefited from this. We're talking about a Supreme Court that, when transparency was desperately needed, they refused ethics reform. They knew exactly what they were doing.
Right.
There is no like, oh, I didn't think this would come back. No, they did. And so they recognize their own kind, which is a grifter and a thief and someone that doesn't care about the public good. Going to Tom Emmer. No one's threatening violence against the president. In fact, the 2 assassination attempts that are reportedly that happened during the campaign were from 2 right-wing radicals. One was in Butler and who killed an innocent bystander. And then the other one was at the golf course, was another right-wing nut job. So it's not coming from Democrats, it's coming from us. But it's funny how you don't denounce the violence on the left that happens to Democrats more often than not. The same thing with the guy you want to lionize and put up. Thank God the Air Force Academy decided not to honor Charlie Kirk, who again was killed by a right-wing radical who was a follower of Nick Fuentes. So, and the other thing is we're also underselling millions from SNAP benefits. I want to make perfectly clear how much it is. It's $186 million. And Senator Emmer knows exactly how much it was because he voted for it, because it passed in the big, beautiful bill, the ugly bill, back in July. So you absolutely know how much it is because you voted for it. You might not have read it, Senator, but you absolutely freaking voted for it. And the other thing too is the unconscionable thing with all this. And this is what people don't really understand about SNAP. There's a program in it called WIC, Women, Infants, and Children, which my ex-wife used to work for. So I've seen it up close and personal. That, guess what? The reason you buy certain things, it comes from American farmers. It comes as part of USAID. The government buys those farm products from our own farmers and gets them to the table of poor people. And some of those people, that's all they have. And those people, those kids, children, are going to do without. So the next time I hear that, oh, well, we got to stop abortion because we care about kids. No, you don't. You don't, because you don't care about them going hungry. And that's what's going to happen. Tens of millions are going to, same thing with the healthcare stuff, tens of millions, but you don't care. So, yeah, sorry about that.
Let me say this about let me say this about Congressman Emmer too, because we have another segment on Congressman Emmer.
Oh, I called him Senator. Sorry.
Yeah. He's the House Majority Whip. He's supposed to be the moderate one. Just so you know, he's in that job because they needed to placate the quote unquote moderates. And I've talked to, the beauty of sometimes being on TV is you end up talking to people in green rooms. I've talked to him at length at CNN. And you will never find a more normal guy in private who talks about how he wants to, reach across the aisle. We all got to work together. In private, these guys know better. He wasn't saying he was trying to get my vote. I'm not his constituent, nor would I ever praise him. I mean, he knows that. We're just having a conversation. And he's like, yeah, both sides, the extremists on both sides are nuts, and this rhetoric's got to stop, and yada, yada. And we had that conversation, I don't know, within the last year. And then they go out, and it's so fucking, sorry, Dad, performative. It is so performative. Oh, it.
Yeah.
But Trump is not performative. Trump is just grifting. He's grifting the crypto fund. He's grifting with his businesses, with Qatar. He's grifting with the airplane, the $1 billion airplane, which, by the way, he says is going to go to the Trump library. But I want to be very clear, and Anderson Cooper made this point yesterday, or somebody on the show did, and they're absolutely right. It could go to his library, but it's not going to hang in the library. The library can loan it out to him for use until the day he dies.
Yep.
So this is his plane. And brought to you by the Emir of Qatar. What are they getting in return? Oh, I don't know. A base on our soil. God only knows what else. Qatar, which Donald Trump, within the last decade, was calling, a bunch of terrorists, the people that house Hamas. Still to this day, the leadership of Hamas is hanging out in Doha in Qatar. And yet, that's what's happening because he is grifting off of foreign despots. I don't even know what the Saudis are giving him. They gave against all advice from financial experts. Mohammed bin Salman gave Jared Kushner billions of dollars for some hedge fund or private, whatever fund he started, which he has no experience running. Right. And so the grift is, the Trump organization run by Uday and Hussein. You've got the money that Jared's getting. And then you've got Trump, who's now about to take $250 million into his own pocket. And by the way, one of the lawyers who would technically get reimbursed is the lawyer who's signing off on this, who's now the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche.
Sure. And it's the other layer of corruption. There's so many layers of the corruption onion. But the Jared Kushner part of it too. There was a clip I saw yesterday of JD Vance and Jared Kushner. Were they in Israel? I'm trying to remember, Julie. But there was a reporter asked JD Vance, like, "Oh, is this ceasefire going to hold?"
JD Vance is in Israel right now. Yep.
Yeah, and he was like, "Ha ha ha," and he was like, "Well, Jared's the investor here."
Oh, Jared's there too?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry.
Standing right behind him.
Yeah.
I was like, "You've got to be shitting me."
Yeah. Oh, here's the thing. I don't know if you guys saw the 60 Minutes interview. I actually was forced to watch it yesterday.
No.
My husband insisted on watching it. And I said, why are you watching this propaganda? That 60 Minutes interview. I mean, I love Leslie Stahl. I think she's very talented. Disgraceful.
I feel so bad for her. Disgraceful.
No tough questions. It was like, ha ha ha, this is so great. Wyckoff talked forever about, what a brilliant decision. They came to a ceasefire, peace of the Middle East. She she literally just took it. Jared was like, oh, yes, I gave up. This is so important. I gave up everything else I'm doing to have peace in the Middle East. Bullshit. Here's the problem. They obviously filmed that thing before the ceasefire.
Oh, absolutely. And Barry Weiss being like,
they aired it anyway after the ceasefire broke.
Mm-hmm.
After the ceasefire.
Dumb.
And they still aired it. And they still gaslit the American people into believing that there's peace in the Middle East. My friends, there is no peace in the Middle East. Hamas is killing anybody they can get their hands on. They're killing Palestinians in Gaza. I don't know where the marches are on Columbia's campus for that, but that's happening. They're killing Israeli.
Don't even get me started.
They're killing Israeli troops. The Israelis have cut off aid again. They're going back in. They're bombing. What peace? And yet this was aired on 60 Minutes because the entire thing is corrupt. He's absolutely right. This goes back to what he said. He said 60 Minutes was forced to pay him $14 or $16 million. 60 Minutes didn't pay him that. CBS paid him that.
And they weren't forced. And they weren't forced to. Let's be real. They weren't forced.
No, Paramount paid him that.
Mm-hmm.
So that
because they wanted
a merger. They wanted a merger, and that merger happened immediately after the payment. I mean, the grift is so out of the open. It's crazy. And by the way, that 60 Minutes Jared Kushner, see Wyckoff BJ, which is the only way I could call it. Sorry, but that's what it was.
Mm.
Is because Barry Weiss, who
Mhm.
is crazy pro-Israel and whatever, her views are her views. She is now running the show. So as a result, that disgraceful thing was on yesterday, or not, on Sunday, excuse me,
Mhm.
and without any comment about how this was filmed before the ceasefire broke, and yet we're still airing it. What are we? I mean, this is like airing an interview with Neville Chamberlain saying we have peace in our time as the tanks are rolling in to Poland. Like, what are we talking about here?
I do like her name though, because it makes it easy to go. You'll never find
That's all I can think about.
propaganda like
Right.
mine.
Yeah.
I just want to make all the Barry White references, you know.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I was so pissed at my husband. Was like, you're being too cynical. You got to watch that. I was like,
No
I'm
way.
watching
No
it.
way.
I'm like, I just think it's gross. It's gross.
Of course it
give
is.
No.
It is. It's disgusting. It's propaganda.
It's
Won't do it.
propaganda. It's propaganda. And I'm disappointed that Leslie Stahl went along with this. As I'm disappointed that George Stephanopoulos went along with having his name attached to that stupid settlement. Because guess what, George Stephanopoulos, for the rest of your life, Donald Trump is going to bring up that you, which you did not, we know, paid money out to him, which we know you did not. It was your overlords at Disney and ABC News. And yet you're still there. I don't know why.
I know. I would have resigned in a heartbeat.
I would have resigned. He doesn't need the money.
I got a correction from the chat, and it is not Barry White who's saying that. It was Lou Rawls. My fault. They do have similar voices, very deep baritone, silky voices, but Nunya, she or he, you're correct. It is Lou Rawls.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, George will always be called George Slopadopoulos of the settlement for as long as he lives, and it's really unfortunate. But you know what? It is within his power to make that stop. So we'll be right back.
All right, welcome back. He's like, so here's a really important story that didn't get much play. North Carolina's legislature is about to approve a new gerrymandered map. Man, they can't seem to let go of those, can they? That would hand Republicans yet another congressional seat. And here's the best part. The Democratic governor can't veto it. Interesting. Now, remember, North Carolina is a swing state, but this map would give Republicans 11 of its 14 congressional districts. The new map might give them an extra seat in the 1st congressional district, which previously included all 8 of the state's majority black counties, and has now been redrawn to include more conservative-leaning counties. And wait, they aren't even pretending that this is about fairness. Republican legislative leaders sent a joint statement that they were doing this to quote, protect Trump's agenda and Republican control of Congress. Well, at least they're being out in the open with their corruption. So I don't know, Julie, like, I'm not sure how to think of this. I mean, at least we're not pretending anymore that the Republican Party really even cares about constitutionality and, like civil rights or, the Bill of Rights.
Well,
doesn't seem like they do.
Guess who you have to blame for this again? The Supreme Court, which said that you can no longer draw maps based on race. So what you're doing is you are in down south. They basically stripped that part of the Civil Rights Act, Voting Rights Act. Believe me, they're going to strip the rest of it very soon. But understand that they are specifically not just creating another congressional seat to create a congressional seat. They're also specifically screwing black people. Like, I don't know how else to say it. They won the Civil War. Congratulations, my friend Confederacy, you won.
Yep.
Because what you're doing is you're not enslaving black people, but you're relegating them to zero representation down there. And, the racism is overt because the Supreme Court has allowed them to be racist. The desire to do this to protect Trump's agenda, as you said, Frederick, is completely out in the open. And the part that I don't understand is, again, where is the media? Why are we the only ones talking about this? This was like buried Some little item, nobody's talking about this. The state of North Carolina, which is a swing purple state, which has as many Democrats as Republicans, is about to have 11 of its 14 congressional districts represented by Republicans. Their governor is a Democrat, their attorney general is a Democrat, but yet this is what they're doing. And they're doing this because they can, because their constitution was, they put a little amendment in the Constitution recently that the governor can't veto. They literally put a constitutional amendment in to make sure that the governor can't veto.
This is what they do.
And their Supreme Court at the state level, which is completely corrupt and magnified, even worse than the United States Supreme Court, has allowed them to do this.
Sure.
You know, blame the judges for this. Blame the people who are supposed to be impartial. If you have any faith in the courts, I don't know what you've been drinking, because I used to really be like, oh, the courts will save us. The courts will save us.
No.
You know, I keep saying I'm married to somebody who's like, oh, no, how can they do this? The courts, because he's a lawyer. And I said to him, and I was very sad to say this, and Michelle, you're married to a lawyer too, but I said to him, I was like, I'm sorry to say your entire life's work is out the window now.
Well, yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, my husband practices bank regulatory law, which I'm sure is going to go next. But you know, this morning when I got up, there was an Instagram video that I was watching, and I unfortunately lost it on my feed, of the constituents or voters showing up to argue against this, being like, this is super messed up. Like, you can't do this. And there's a young man shouting at these Republicans, and they are sitting there, I kid you not, in their seats doing this, texting. It is infuriating. The disdain that these people have for their voters, their constituents, and the American people. I mean, it is outrageous. And the fact is, you know, yes, we all know gerrymandering is super corrupt, and you know, that the voters should be choosing their representatives. The representatives should not be choosing their voters. That's a given. But this is on a whole nother level of rigging the system for generations to come. And this is why, even more so, it is infuriating to watch people like Schwarzenegger and all these other people in California, because California has an opportunity to try and do this in California, but the right way. They're putting it up to the people. It's going to be a vote in November. And we have all these people, oh no, we can't do that. That's, you know, are you kidding me? Look at what is happening. And is this lack of urgency and this, I don't know, totally misplaced loyalty to norms and tradition that has gotten us here in the first place. And it's like, if you do not fight fire with fire, we might as well just hang it up.
Yeah.
Look at what they're doing. And these people cannot be shamed. They cannot be shamed. Don't even try. You have to beat them. There is no shaming. There is no talking to them. They don't care. You have to beat them. We have to dismantle all of their levers of power.
Yeah, because Michelle, you're so right. Arnold Schwarzenegger is sitting in his nice house in Brentwood or wherever the hell he is. He's got no problems in life, right?
Yeah.
They're good for him. He's on some plane of, like, you know, Kennedy-esque plane, I guess, being married to Marie Shriver.
Right. I mean,
like, we have to appeal to our better angels. No, my man. When they go low, we go in the gutter. Like, that's what we do. That's what we do. We get out the shovel and we start digging. That's how.
That. Like, yeah, existing map, proposed map. Yep.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the thing about it is I think for a large portion of the population, they're not ready to deal with what's really here. Like, you know, we're one of the, and again, it's because most people are propagandized. You look at Sinclair Broadcasting and, like, the, you know, was it Next Star or Star Next or whatever that put pressure on to fire Jimmy Kimmel, you know. And most people in the Midwest and in southern states, that's where they get their news from. And so they're not critical thinkers. I mean, I think, what was it? Like 54% of the American population reads at a 6th grade level, you know? And so, and I'm not shitting on these people, you know, I'm not saying anything bad, but it's like, when President Lincoln, when Maryland did not want to secede during the Civil War. The governor was pro-Confederate. He was about to take the Maryland into the Confederacy. And that meant Washington, D.C. would be surrounded on all sides, by basically Confederate territory. Lincoln suspended habeas corpus and arrested the governor. There's no legal precedent for this. It was unconstitutional at the time. He did it. And he did it to save the Union. We are going, like, the legislators we're going to need, and it's not that we've lost democracy forever. I'm not in that camp. But to do this sort of the legislative way or by the courts, it's going to require extraordinary measures now within the legal framework that operate within the spirit of the law. And with, like, California, that's one of those solutions. Is like, well, we're going to have to gerrymander to try to offset this. And then, what we'll do that. The next president of the United States, if they're not serious about prosecuting sitting members of the Supreme Court, there's no point. Or if you're not going to raise the number of justices, if you have the votes in the Senate and the House to which a lot of people don't know this, but how many people, like, the number of Supreme Court justices is not enshrined in the Constitution.
No, it's totally know that.
It's done by a legislative act by Congress. There's 13 circuit courts. That's your justification. Say, well, we need 13 justices, and then you just appoint a bunch to fix all this, and just say, and that's it. And, like, the next president, I hate to say it, is going to have to be like Cincinnatus in Rome, legend, where he became a dictator and then gave up power. I'm not saying we have a dictator, but you're going to have to tell the DOJ AG, your job is to go after Republicans and break this criminal enterprise apart, rip it out by the roots.
And the biggest mistake, to your point, that Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer, and I don't know if it was Pelosi or Jeffries, did, literally the biggest mistake of the Biden administration is not making Washington, D.C. a state and not making Puerto Rico a state. Because you would have had at least 2 more senators and probably 4. And they would have been Democrats.
Yep.
And guess what would happen? The Senate would be in the minority because they're at 53 right now. And they don't get how the game is played. And I'm sorry, you guys, we here at Mayday are not going to be selling you hopium. We're not going to be selling you feel-good bullshit. We're going to tell you how it is. And how it is do not cast a vote. I don't care if this senator or member of Congress has been your representative for the last 40 years. I don't care if you know them personally. If they can't fight fire with fire, and if they're not going to bring a nuke to a gunfight, goodbye. I don't really care if I agree with them on policy. I don't care if they're more liberal or conservative than I am. This is about who's fighting fire with fire. And Michelle Kinney has said this all along, like, live by the Michelle Kinney credo. There is a failure of imagination, and we got to have representatives who have imagination. My congressperson, Michelle's congressperson, Jerry Nadler, is retiring. Thank you for your service, Congressman. I'm not voting for anybody who doesn't have imagination. I don't give a shit if you are Jack Schlossberg and you're a Kennedy. Doesn't matter to me. I don't care if you're, what's his name, Michael Lesser.
Micah's a good guy, but
like good guy, don't care. I don't want a good guy.
He's a rule follower. I mean, I know Micah personally.
I don't
that's my
want
point. I don't want a rule follower. I want somebody who's gonna break the mold.
Yep.
Do what Frederick said within the law. Do everything you can and change the law to allow you to do it.
Yep.
No more I don't want any more reach across the aisle. I don't want any more bipartisanship.
Nope.
I don't want any more come together. This notion that we've always been unified as a country is freaking hogwash.
Yep.
American politics and democracy has been a slugfest. We literally had a civil war for 5 years over the question of slavery.
Yeah.
Like, we are a violent, pugnacious, raucous people. And it's the problem is only in the last few decades we've made some progress, and we really it's been kind of cutesy and nice. But here's the thing: these conservatives, these fascists, these authoritarians, these far right white nationalists, they never wanted to play that game. And we've let them off the hook by basically saying, "Oh, we can come together. Oh, let's appeal to their better." There's no better angel of these people.
No better angels.
There isn't.
They're immoral. Let's move on because I think we have a segment coming up just about.
Yep. Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, is a fascist Keebler elf, and I just want to show everyone this clip because I hate him.
These are objective facts. They're utterly lost as a party, and everybody can see it. So what are they doing? They see a shiny object, and they latch onto it.
And then
Is he talking about Republicans or Democrats? What is he talking about?
And then I want to show this.
Well, here's the thing. The mainstream media has asked me in all these interviews, why aren't you negotiating? Cheryl, I literally don't have anything to negotiate. And
Is he talking? Which party is he talking about? Like,
yeah,
I mean,
and I'm getting there. So Mike Johnson has kept the House out of session for almost a month, and he keeps sending everybody home to do district work because he doesn't want the Epstein files released. And just if anybody doesn't know this, Virginia Giuffre, who was one of Epstein's victims, who unfortunately and very tragically took her own life, has a book that was released yesterday. I actually went over to my bookstore to try to get it, and they didn't have their copies in yet. So TBD on that report from me. But she comes very close to naming names, prime ministers, members of Congress. It's pretty awful. And if you ask me, I think that that's why Prince Andrew in the UK gave up his royal titles just a few days ago. So Mike Johnson is refusing to swear in the newly elected Congresswoman from Arizona as well, because she would be the final 218th vote to discharge the petition to release the files. Mike Johnson, he deserves to be shamed early and often for his pious religious bullshit while he gaslights the American people and continues to lie and continues to not move his face or his body, only his lips. And I think it's very creepy and weird. And this is also a man who's with his son monitor each other's porn intake. Like, everything about him is weird and hypocritical. And Julie, I would just love to know your thoughts about this, because I literally feel like rage when I see his face.
I just want to point out it's his adopted son that he adopted when he was a teenager.
No, you're thinking.
No, that's not who I'm talking about. His other son, they monitor.
Oh, okay.
Porn intake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the clarification.
You know what? He is like, this whole Jesus thing doesn't work for me. With him, right? It may work. No, but it's true. It doesn't work for me with him because, all you have to do is read the Sermon on the Mount. And I say this as somebody who's not Christian, but maybe unlike Mike Johnson, I've actually read the New Testament. And it's all about helping the poor and the meek. And it is that Sermon on the Mount encapsulates everything that Mike Johnson is not.
Oh yeah.
Go watch porn, Mike Johnson. Like, your time would be better spent watching porn with your son, which I think is bizarre and weird. Because when you're not watching porn, all you do is screw people. I mean,
that's what the Oklahoma former superintendent of schools did during a meeting. A lot of them do that.
Yeah. So, I don't care. Like, go watch porn, because your time would be better spent watching porn than it is screwing the American people. They are liars.
That's not wrong.
He is excusing everything. This pious bullshit Keebler elf, as Michelle calls him.
And I'm sure I can say that. I'm 5 feet tall. I can call him a Keebler elf. So don't come for me with the don't call people short. I can, because he's an awful version of us. He doesn't represent us.
So there's an old Southern joke, right? About these fake Christians like Mike Johnson, these all too high and mighty pious folks, so the joke is, Jewish folks don't recognize Jesus as the Messiah, and Catholic folks don't recognize like Catholic folks don't recognize, Martin Luther and the split from the church, and Baptists don't recognize each other in the liquor store. Right? And that's Mike Johnson, right? Mike John, and so the thing is, another old Southern saying is like, the more someone is out and about wearing, wearing Jesus on their sleeve, the further away they are from him. And my buddy, his dad, his one of his uncles was this kind of shyster type, right? This kind of he had a car business, and they'd go up, and every few years he'd go set up a new town, and and then he'd get his business up and going. One of the things he did was he would go to each church, and he knew exactly what scripture to quote. He knew exactly what verses to say. He knew exactly how to talk to these people, and he'd get their business. And once he got all their business out of that congregation, he'd go to the next church, and he'd do the same thing all over again. All these stories of abuse, we knew about that. It's going on in the South, right? There's always that one youth leader or a pastor or something cheats on his wife, or, he's got a secret gay lover or something like that, and that's Mike Johnson to me. I've seen his kind. I know his kind. That's exactly what he is. He's just a water boy for other worse people. There's not a Christian thing about that man. Because to your point, there ain't nothing. They don't follow the Sermon on the Mount. There's no parable of the Good Samaritan. There's none of that. No.
Yeah, I mean, we got to move on, but he is brutally awful. He just again, they're all awful, but he's particularly awful because he excuses the shit while pretending to be a good Christian.
Yeah, these people aren't Christians; they're hypocrites.
Yeah, they are.
We'll be right back.
Hey, Julie, Michelle, do you remember? I think it was around 2016. There was you might know her, a woman named Hillary Clinton, and she called some MAGA Trump supporters deplorables, and the media and the right wing went absolutely crazy. I mean, it was wall-to-wall insanity. Media wouldn't stop talking about it. The Republican victimhood was through the roof, and it became this massive, massive issue. Well, our own Michelle Kinney found a clip from Representative Tom Emmer, and
is it the same one I showed before?
It might have been the same one.
Yeah.
Where he called Democrats despicable.
Yep.
We can show it again. Let's show it again.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I was screen recorded this at 1:22 a.m. and I didn't label it, so we're just going to pray on it. Here it is.
This is a party without a message, without a leader, and without a future at this point. They are well on their way to being left on the ash heap of history. It's despicable, and it's downright wrong. We've got news for Chuck Schumer and the soon-to-be former leader of the Democrats in the House. Your Hate America rally is over. It's past time for you to stop thinking about yourselves and start thinking about the people that you were hired to serve.
Wow. The psychological projection there is off the charts. Like, if he didn't mention Chuck Schumer and Democrats, I'm like, bro, I agree with everything you're saying about your own party. Like, that's amazing. So but again, we've heard this over and over. You've seen Carolyn Leavitt call criminals, terrorist supporters. I think she even referred to Democrats as Hamas supporters, because that was the thing in vogue until Trump got peace in the Middle East. But we don't really hear anything from the media on this like they did with Hillary Clinton. There's no gasp from the Fourth Estate or even really any coverage of this. Julie, you run around some unsavory characters like Scott Jennings on CNN. What do you have to say about this?
Well, I'm not with Scott Jennings and CNN anymore. He had me banned.
What?
Oh, yes, for going hard on him. I suspect. I think I'm shadow banned. But
that was very alpha male of him to do that. By the way,
yeah, very. But I'll say this: call it again. The media is absurd. What's the difference between deplorable and despicable? Like, legitimately, what is the difference between deplorable and despicable? If
I
I
think
were
deplorable is nice.
if I were taking the SATs, I would say that they're pretty close to each other, right? And yet there's no outrage from the media. There's no wall-to-wall coverage of the third highest ranking person in the House calling Democrats despicable. It's just business as usual, because again, and we don't need to belabor this, Donald Trump figured out the formula. And if I were the next president of the United States on the Democratic side, or a governor, or any person in any position of influence, I would take a lesson from Trump. Flood the zone with shit, and the media will never keep up. Just flood it. Just do so many outrageous things every day that you groom the American people like a sexual predator to accept what you're doing. I actually have a Substack on that today. It is truly what they're doing. They are grooming us. Just like a sexual predator would groom a little girl. Just like what you read about in excerpts from Virginia Giuffre's book. You treat them nicely 1 minute, you threaten them the next. And over and over and over again until the people are conditioned to accept it.
And speaking of conditioned, you know, at some point, somewhere, somebody decided that Democrats punch down and Republicans punch up.
Yep.
And it just couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth.
Yep.
And they decided that, you know, smart people or people who behave themselves are elitists, and people who act like dumbasses and talk down to everyone are the good guys. And when Hillary Clinton said basket of deplorables and everyone lost their minds, I was of the thought that she should have tripled down on that, because at least it would have been real, and at least it would have been true. And that's the thing, is like, you know, she talked about half of his voters are deplorables. They're a basket of deplorables, and they are.
They are.
4 years later, a bunch of them got together and stormed the Capitol and tried to overthrow the United States government. And they put a gallows and a noose outside. They went in with zip ties, looking after members of Congress. They were trying to hang Mike Pence. They were going after Nancy Pelosi. They tased police officers. They took American flags and beat police officers. Michael Fanone died and then was revived. Michael Fanone, who was a Capitol police officer, died. They killed him, and then he was revived. There are permanent injuries, people on disability who were police officers. So again, with the hypocrisy and the, we back the blue. No, you don't. No, you don't. Horseshit. And so this is where I keep this on my phone. I share it often. In you go. In you go to the basket of deplorables. There is your basket. In you go. Because, you know, and I love Hillary Clinton. You know, I don't care. People give her a lot of shit. And I, you know, unfortunately, because she spent 40, 50 years in the public eye, she's a very careful person, and felt that, you know, she had to be the way that she was. But I wish that she had tripled down on that. I really, really, really do. Because
don't apologize for telling the truth.
No.
Yeah.
They are deplorable. They are deplorable. And the media is deplorable for not calling her out on the despicable thing in the same way they went after Hillary Clinton. Because that's what he said. He said a lot of other bullshit yesterday, that press conference with Mike Johnson. They both said a bunch of shit. I mean, the whole thing is actually worth watching if you want to get outraged. But the reason we bring this little tidbit up is because nobody else is just even remotely making the comparison. That the media is just silent on the fact that, because Republicans, of course, Republicans say this kind of stuff. This is just what they do. We're conditioned, as I said, they're groomers. We are conditioned to accept it from them. Yep. They are groomers, and they've groomed the media, and they've groomed their base, and now they're trying to groom the rest of us to just accept this. And they're using the same tactics as, and I'm going to just send people to my Substack today to read it, because I literally wrote 1,200 words on this. The same stuff that they are doing with that Epstein did with little girls is the same thing they're doing with their base. And if you want to know why Donald Trump is about to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell and why he's considering pardoning P. Diddy, because he's like them. Because he's like them. It's not for any other reason.
Birds of a feather.
He doesn't understand what the big deal is.
Yep.
That's
because it's such a part of his. It's money, it's power, it's sexual deviancy, it's assault, it's treating women and other human beings like objects. Which again, I mean, the Hollywood Access tape, he said it out loud, and that was like one tiny little grain of sand of an example of an entire lifetime of behavior. And again, I will bring it back to QAnon, which was the spawn from the right of conspiracy theories and, oh, there's a cabal of pedophiles running the world. Apparently there are, but it's not Democrats, at least not in the way that they painted it to be. It's not Pizzagate. It's not John Podesta at the pizza place in DC. That's not the case. What it is rich and powerful people trafficking human beings for their own benefit and whatever else, sickness. And look, the people on the list of the flight logs are Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, Donald Trump. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I mean, these are horrible, sick people who have more money than any of us can even imagine having in any of our lifetimes. And because of that reason, they feel that they are untouchable and that the laws do not apply to them, and certainly not the laws of morality. So.
Well, on that note, we got to run. We're all feeling very angry this morning. If you can't.
Yeah. So let's recalibrate, and we'll be right back in just a few seconds. So, on a happier note, and a non-political note, like at least not overtly, the World Series kicks off this Friday. The Los Angeles Dodgers will be playing the Toronto Blue Jays.
Go Dodgers!
I'm gonna say go everybody, because I'm just like very excited about the whole thing. So, and I'm a Yankees fan, obviously. I'm from New York, but we grew up in a household that watched the Expos as well. So, but I grew up throwing the ball in the backyard with my sister and my dad, and I've been playing some version of the sport most of my life. And so now I'm just a fan. I'm just a spectator. I'm certainly not an expert, but the matchup isn't the most exciting part, at least not for me. And although the matchup is actually really great, because it's Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles, and Toronto in Canada, which this is a series that Donald Trump is not going to be welcome to at all. But but separately, the thing that I'm most excited about is a young man who plays for the Los Angeles Dodgers named Shohei Ohtani. And Ohtani grew up in Japan, in a small city 3 hours from Tokyo. And his dad worked at an auto plant and played semi-pro baseball. And his mom was a competitive badminton player. And so athletics and discipline and hard work, very much part of his culture, very much a part of his DNA. And Ohtani was and is a tremendous athlete. He was very good at everything. And so his baseball coach had them swimming on the side, and apparently became such a great swimmer that his coach thought he could have gone to the Olympics at some point. But baseball was the dream, and that is what he did. And even as a teenager, he didn't want to learn how to drive, because the time it was going to take him to learn how to drive was going to take him away from baseball. And from the time he picked up a bat, he wanted to do what nobody else could. He wanted to be a pitcher and a hitter. And this is something that's almost unheard of in modern baseball. And when it came time for him to go pro, he told scouts that he would not even talk to a team unless they would let him do both. And he came to the United States. He played for the Los Angeles Angels, and he proved right away that it could be done. And he has done it. And it all hasn't been smooth. Last year, he tore a ligament in his pitching arm. He had elbow surgery that forced him off the mound. And yet he still hit over 50 home runs, stole more than 50 bases. And he was the first player in Major League Baseball to do that. And through it all, he's done interviews through an interpreter, because he is not fluent in English. He speaks Japanese. And even last year, that became its own headline when his longtime interpreter was caught stealing millions of dollars from him to cover gambling debts, which is insane. So at the height of his career, he's 31 years old now. He was betrayed by someone he trusted, but still resilient, and he kept on. There's so many reasons why I love this story. So it's, yes, baseball. We all love baseball, but it's not just about baseball. It is about his discipline, his resilience, and his quiet strength. And he's someone who doesn't need to speak the language in the United States to be the greatest who ever played the game. He is the greatest to ever play the American pastime of baseball. And now he is facing the Canadian team that almost signed him last year, the whole thing is just so special. I am so excited to watch this series. And I wanted to tell the story through the lens of how I look at all of this, through nostalgia and through American pastime. And so I put together a little segment about Shohei Ohtani, and I'm going to show that now. There have been perfect games.
Robinson dashes to the plate.
Sandy Koufax, his second consecutive.
There have been no hitters, walk-offs, and miracle ninth innings. Baseball has always given us nights that felt touched by something greater than the game itself. But then, on Friday night, under the lights of Dodger Stadium, one immigrant gave us the kind of performance we'll tell our kids about. They're calling it the greatest game ever played. 3 home runs.
And there goes Ohtani! Shohei! Ohtani, did he? Ohtani! Ohtani has done it again! His 3rd home run! This was about as impressive as it gets. The bat flip.
6 shutout innings.
LCS. 5 innings. 1 and 2 on Teray.
One man doing what used to take an entire team. But maybe it was something more. Maybe it was a reminder of what baseball and this country are supposed to be about.
They get 6 more outs.
Baseball has always been America's pastime, but it's the people who come to America who bring their talent, their dreams, their discipline, and hard work, who make it something greater. Shohei Ohtani came here with a dream and a fastball. He crossed an ocean to play the game he loved. He reminded us why we watch, why we dream, and why this game endures. Baseball was born here, but it's been kept alive and made greater by those who crossed oceans and borders, proving again that greatness isn't born in just one place, that the American dream doesn't have a birth certificate. It has a heartbeat. And on Friday night, it sounded like this.
Ohtani, did he? Ohtani! Ohtani has done
The sound
His 3rd home run!
connects us all. From fields in Cuba, Venezuela, the Dominican Republic, Japan, Puerto Rico, to the sandlots of the Bronx and the cornfields of Iowa. In a country built on possibilities, sometimes it takes someone who came from somewhere else to remind us what it all really means.
There goes Ohtani, lighting up the highlights already.
Baseball may be America's pastime,
Shohei Ohtani!
but baseball has been made greater
Pitcher and a hitter.
by those who choose to play it here. They all chase the same dream, to stand beneath these lights. And belong. Well, I just don't think it gets much better than that. I really don't. And obviously that music is the score from, and apparently we've lost Julie. I don't know what happened. The most underrated score in cinema by Randy Newman from the film The Natural. It is, quite frankly,
Yeah.
the greatest baseball sports score, maybe any score. But I hope people will watch the series, even if you don't like baseball, even if you don't care about baseball. Look at it through the lens of what's going on in this country with what's happening with immigration, and to appreciate the wonderful, wonderful things. Julie just texted me; her whole computer just shut down. We can appreciate the wonderful things that this country has created, but I think even more so, we have to appreciate the people who come here for a better life and make the things that we do here so much better. And here's Julie. I'm gonna put her in. There we go. So yeah.
I don't know
so,
what happened. That was beautiful, Michelle. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And I want you to send that to me because I know somebody can get that to Otani for you. So,
wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, get it. Yeah, that'd be great. Get it to Otani. That would be awesome.
I know somebody can get that to Otani for you.
Well,
Of
I mean,
yeah,
that's lovely. I don't know if this is anything better than Major League Baseball or ESPN or some other.
No, it's
you know what?
It's better.
He can show it to him, and if Otani understands it, great. And if he doesn't understand it, fantastic. But I know somebody who could potentially get that over.
Well,
to him.
that's wonderful,
It
Julie.
reminded me of Ken Burns. Like it was up there.
Yeah, thank you.
It was beautifully done, and
Thank
it was
you.
a wonderful message. And of course, as an immigrant, I'm a little touched and partial to it. But I think this is what the best of America is. It is diversity.
It really is. It really is.
If
It really
the
is.
And I want to say this about the Dodgers. I'm rooting for the Dodgers purely because I'm very good friends with a former Dodger who I feel compelled to root for his team. but I will say this: if the Dodgers win, it is going to be because an immigrant named Shohei Otani contributed to that win. And if the Blue Jays win, it is a Canadian team that will be the best team playing America's pastime. And so this is what this country is about. This is what this world is about. Like, I will not be upset if Canada wins in the same way that I would.
No way.
Like, because we love the Canadians. We love the fact that the Canadians are playing what's known as America's pastime in the same way that we love that the United States is playing hockey, which is Canada's pastime.
Right. Very much so. Yeah.
Very so. And what is wonderful about baseball and all sports is that they are built on merit, and that merit is full of diverse people, right? Like, look at the best basketball players. They're not white guys.
No.
Look at, Michael Jordan, right? LeBron James, all of these people. And you look at the best players in the NHL who play for American teams. They're Canadian. And you look at the best player playing baseball right now on both coasts, right? You've got Aaron Judge, who's not a white guy, and you've got Shohei Otani, who's an immigrant.
Yeah.
That's
and overwhelmingly Dominican Republic, Cuba, Venezuela, Puerto Rico. All these guys, they're the best. And Shohei Otani is, to quote, The Natural is one of my favorite baseball movies.
Oh, yeah.
Is There Goes Roy Hobbs, the best there ever was, the best there ever will be. Shohei Otani, they are calling Game 4 of the series the greatest game of baseball ever played. Ever.
It's really, the only thing that even comes close to that, just the half of it, was Reggie Jackson in his 3 home runs in the World Series for the Yankees. But Reggie didn't pitch.
Right. This guy's
October.
6 shutout innings. This series is going to be so exciting. So exciting.
I don't even think Babe Ruth did anything close to that. I mean,
No.
like Babe was, for his time, his era. I mean, any era, he was amazing. But
Right.
I don't think. I mean, in a single game, 6 shutout innings pitched plus 3 home runs. Like,
And that
I don't
third
think
home
in the
run
postseason, in like
in the
Yeah.
postseason, game 4, and that third home run, he hit literally out of the park. It went over and out.
oh yeah, and
That
I've
doesn't happen.
Yeah, I've been to that park.
Yeah,
It's not
doesn't
an easy
happen.
feat.
No.
Otani is like, if he has a little bit longer of a career, he's going to be like, it's
He's greatest.
it's pretty much, it's getting close to where he's the best, like, to ever do it, because
Aaron Judge was just asked, and he said he's the best in the game. He's the best in the game.
he is. I mean, by far,
Mhm.
and I mean, you look at, I mean, like, there's question marks even with Aaron Judge or Barry Bonds or people that, like, there's some that are great during the regular season. They shrink for the postseason. It's like, rarely do you have somebody that does as well as Otani does in the regular season, and then his game elevates in the postseason. It's
And that's why
you're seeing a generational talent.
and the last thing I'll just say here too is that's why I brought up in the setup that he didn't want to learn how to drive because he knew how much time and practice it was going to take, and he didn't want to spend that time not perfecting his game. And there are videos of him practicing his pitch, and he stops mid pitch and fixes his form and then continues. He is meticulous in every possible way and so mentally strong, which it to be an athlete of that level and that caliber requires mental strength on a level that I don't think any of us, at least me personally, I couldn't do. There's a quietness in his brain that allows him to play on this level.
There's an old saying. It's just, it's like hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work very hard. And when you get somebody that has
Both,
the
yeah.
genetics, that has just all the physical gifts that Otani has, and the insane amount of discipline, work ethic, that's when you get LeBron James. That's when you get your Larry Birds. That's when you get Michael Jordan. That's when you get, like, these athletes that transcend, like, literally transcend the sport, and you won't see them again.
Simone Biles. I mean, the list goes
Tom
on.
Brady, you name it. Like, these people that get this, that to that level, right? You will not see this. And it's interesting that our pastime has gone international, and that it is more popular in many ways for young kids and internationally. And a lot of that is just because, again, we're not putting investments into ballparks like we did before, and programs for kids to play baseball.
And to that point, I'll say that it once again proves the soft power of America. American soft power, which we had through USAID and, like, our film industry and our sports. There is so much about the United States that people around the world aspire to and has created opportunity for, like people in the Dominican Republic, in places like Cuba, that have offered a ticket out of where they are to come to the United States and achieve their dreams and be great. And for that, I'm proud to tell the story, at least through how I see the game of baseball and how I look at the world. And so thanks for watching that with me.
Thank you for making that.
That was, Michelle, that was beautiful. And share, please, guys, when Michelle posts it.
I'll put it live. It'll be on YouTube. I'll push it to live right now. I've called it Wonder Boy after the bat in The Natural. So look for that as a Mayday short, and I'll put it up on Instagram and other various platforms as well. So take a look, be on the lookout, and share it with your friends ahead of the World Series on Friday. So, and other than that, guys,
we'll see. Maybe we'll get.
That would be crazy. But on that note, Thank you all for joining us this morning. Thank you for sticking around. And please like and subscribe to the Mayday Network on YouTube if you have not already. We're slowly but surely building this channel. We're very proud of what we're doing here. And we're so grateful and so honored that you spend your time with us. So we will see you tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock Eastern. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.